we're talking about a topic today that comes up, unfortunately, on occasion, and that's when you're in between gigs as a performer. So, in a regular job setting, you apply for a job and you go through the stress of that, and once do this on a regular basis. So think about people talking about high levels of stress when you go through job transition. We're doing that all the time.
Constantly.
And people look at your resume and are like, well, you've only worked with one person in the last year. Like, so there's all this weird kind of different ways of looking at jobs in those pieces. So we wanted to talk about, what do you do when you're in between gigs, in between performances, and that downtime you may have. And sometimes it can feel like you're not an artist.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's, I don't know, that's something we struggle with.
Yeah.
It's something I struggle with personally. And it can drive you a little crazy.
Very crazy.
I'll start like applying to everything and things like in Australia, I don't know, like,
yeah,
it's obvious I would not be able to go there and do that. But you kind of, I don't know, you lose your sense of self for a little bit.
And because we love it so much, you miss it and you want to be a part. And then people ask you what you're doing and what you have planned for the future. And if you don't have something to mention, then it's kind of like, oh, well, what are you doing?
Right.
So there's that weird piece of that too. And then it's hard applying and being on that side of looking for work all the time. It's not fun to do. And
so what do we do?
So what do we do? Questions.
I would say, I think we talked about a little bit, one of our very first videos was on identity. And I think the best thing you can do as an artist is not rest your identity in being a working artist, is what's seen as a working artist typically, or success, worldly success. That's why we started doing our own shows.
Yeah.
Because then we're always working on something that we want to work. Our identity is not in the gig that you're doing, not in the gigs that you've done, and it doesn't rest in the fact you don't have any gigs.
Right.
So with that mentality, I can't say I'm the most motivated, but to learn something new or work on things for upcoming auditions that aren't even booked yet, or work on a new role, something like that.
Yeah.
So when you have downtime, try to use it. But like I said, it's hard.
It's really hard.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's more of really soul searching and making sure your identity is grounded in something other than your work. Work and art, I think, are separate.
Yeah.
It should be your art, not your work, not the gigs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I've really been thinking about the whole journey as a marathon and not as a sprint, because I want, and people talk in that way, like success happening overnight and all these things, and really it's so unrealistic. And even the people who are overnight successes, they've been in the business probably for 10 years at least, doing things.
So it looks overnight,
but it's not at all. And so for me, thinking about the marathon idea, and in a marathon you hit walls and you hit good times and bad times, so there's ebb and flow in that as well. And as you said, the most helpful thing for me has been working on my own project. So you always have something you're working towards, and you're making art then, and you're not waiting for someone to give you something. And like you said, trying to find other things that will push you and help you grow. So taking classes and things, like doing movement stuff, has been really helpful for me because I like it and it helps me grow and learn. And then you have something that you still have to show up to a class, or you have to work on something, and you're still making that time to do that. And sometimes you just need to cry. Right. Like sometimes you just are like sad because you know you do want. We love this, and when you don't have it, it is really hard.
Yep. Not saying it's easy. Don't isolate yourself.
Yeah.
Because I would say that's easy to do.
Yeah.
And you feel like you're alone, and you see on Facebook or everybody else's website that, oh, they're so successful. We're gonna best foot forward, you know, we're in the showbiz, we're gonna make ourselves look great.
Yeah.
But everybody struggles.
Yeah.
Everybody has down moments, so find some good artist friends that can really feel for you in those moments.
Yeah. And it's been helpful for me to read other people's journeys. I remember I was reading, I think it was Claire Danes, and she was talking about how she had a really successful film, and then for 2 years she didn't have work. I was like, wow, that's so good to hear, because here's someone who's very successful. Everyone, even the critics think she's really successful, all these pieces, and so just to even look at the time frame between gigs that someone may have may be different than you actually think or see.
That's a really good point.
So that, for me, is really helpful, because it just puts things in perspective as you're looking at it. So, and you see people's highlights, not not all the downtime between.
Right. They're not. You're not gonna post on Facebook. Haven't had a gig in 4 months. Got all no's from auditions.
Which I mean, if we showed you like the whole underside, not the highlights, it's depressing.
Right.
So.
And that goes with the whole mystery of show business.
Yeah.
People just see the glamour. And we artists, we like to give them the glamour.
Right.
Well, speaking for myself, I will say yes. I mean, I still like my 60s hair and got pretty into this role here. But there is a really dark side.
Yeah.
And you are going to be between gigs, most likely, at some point. So, and if you're not, good for you.
Yeah.
And you go.
Well, don't be discouraged.
That's right, keep plugging away. If Claire Danes wouldn't have given up, she wouldn't be a household name. Not that we all need fame, but perseverance is key. So use your time wisely.
Make small steps, that marathon.
Just be proud of, and you can say I'm in between gigs, even if nothing else is planned. That's an honest statement.
Yeah.
And that can make you feel hopeful.
Definitely. Yes. So thanks for hanging out with us, and you can find more of our work and ideas and follow with us as we work on projects and in between things on Twitter and Facebook, YouTube, and you can join us as we're working at the Artist Festival.
That's right. Sign up.
Thank you. Bye.